What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of VidORGs Fall Guys. This is episode number 2. No more GT. We've gone with an upgrade. How's it going, Peanut?
It's going well. We're here. We're ready to talk about the tribe swap phase.
Yeah, so today we're going to be talking about basically the second phase of our game. So we just actually went to merge, so we have 4 episodes to kind of cover, which, as you mentioned, the tribe swap, kind of how that broke down. We'll talk about the challenges. We'll talk about the VidORGs and some of the interesting things that happen, as well as what we expect to see come merge, and maybe we can each pick some favorites or anything, or who we like.
Sounds good.
But yeah, kicking off with the tribe swap. So, this was similar to when we started the game, going through. We had the gates open for DoorDash. The players were competing. They picked their teammates, who ended up being on the tribe with them. Did any of the picks surprise you, or what stood out to you about that? The way that we did the tribe swap.
I think the tribe swap was interesting because we did, like you said, we did it like the first gates where they picked their partners. So in this way, somebody had someone going into the tribe swap who they kind of could rely on and trust, and they weren't fully swap screwed as people can get in the traditional games and that.
And that was one of the goals behind it. We saw a lot of people picking their allies from either hot dogs or dinos.
Yeah.
However, we did see some people not as well. Penguin, I know, picked Mufasa with his pick.
Yeah, that surprised me.
It did me a little bit. They've been allies in the past in orcs. I do know that.
Okay.
And so, plus they're the 2 older cast members along with Trump. And so maybe Penguin just felt a little bit more comfortable there. It is a very young cast. He's a little older, so that could have played into it as well. The other ones, like Princess and Bluey, have been like attached at the hip, so
yeah, they are very close.
And I think it's becoming fairly evident that they are. Other than that, there wasn't a ton of like really strategic picks, I thought, that occurred. The one I thought it was interesting was at the end. So Trump had the last pick, and because and we actually didn't have a last captain, a 5th or a 4th captain, or an 8th captain, because no one finished one of the gates. So Trump was picking between 3 players to be his teammate, and we had like a little mini election type thing that happened in chat. And he was basically interrogating them on who was the best player, and they're all like, "We love you, Mr. President," and like all this stuff.
It was something.
Yeah, and so he goes with Copper, who's Copper.
Copper. I was surprised he didn't go for someone like Riley.
Yeah, I almost wish he did.
Yeah,
I think
I really do.
We would have. We'll get there, but I wish he would have picked Riley.
Yeah. Or even Will, because I don't understand the Copper pick, honestly.
He did it because people said that he was the best challenge competitor.
I
don't know why he thought that, but yeah. But so they picked all their teammates, and then we ended up with a tribe swap. So we had Bluey, Princess, Hugh,
Mufasa,
Sugi, and Mufasa Penguin, and then Trump and Copper on one team. They became our Bananas tribe. Got to stick with the theme. And then on our Ducks tribe, we had Savannah, Celeste, Jarake, Random Master, Riley, Will, Icy, and Oni. And I was not sure exactly how the tribe swap would go, like on who was going to be more dominant or anything, because a lot of the players on Ducks were on the original Dinos, who kind of wiped out the original Hot Dogs. But they did lose. They lost Bluey, they lost Princess, and they lost Penguin. And they got so that left them essentially with a bunch of players that just like to throw challenges.
Yeah, because Riley coming into this game was like, I'm gonna throw. He did the same strategy I think in Dorg Fins, what I saw, where he's like, I'm gonna go gonna throw the challenge. He's gonna Russell hands it his way to the end type thing.
But even then, Will
Yeah,
wanted to throw, and so did Icy, is what it seemed like. So it
exactly.
seemed like
Like
there was three players that wanted to actively throw, just had no care about winning a challenge at all. Um, and it showed because in the first challenge, we had Master Word, which is a challenge which I thought was pretty interesting. Um,
I thought too.
it requires a lot of like teamwork and like logic a little bit. It's kind of a mixture of the mastermind like puzzle game and like code words or code names if you've played that. And it didn't go very well. Period. Uh, we got to a point I was quite dejected,
Yeah.
and it gets worse. But
This
uh,
was the beginning. This is the
yeah,
tip
this
of the iceberg.
yeah, it was just the beginning of a long road for the hosts. um, so they were split up into four teams, two for each tribe, and only one tribe or team even participated on the bananas, and they didn't get their word. So we actually had zero successful attempts at this challenge,
Yeah.
and only one actual attempt.
I
Really?
think was it. I think the only reason because we were gonna we were we there were talks
Yeah.
of a double tribal.
The
Just be,
only reason that we didn't is because in the rules I'd put in a thing about tiebreakers,
mm-hmm.
and I
And
wish I didn't because they
yeah, I
deserve to
mean,
go.
to be fair, the it was Bluey's group, right? Who they were
Yeah, it was Bluey, Penguin, Princess,
princess, and
I think Sugi.
yeah, it was Sugi, I believe. They were actively trying to figure out the word and like doing the challenge. They
Yeah,
just didn't go about it the best way.
yeah, they just kind of failed, which
Yeah.
sure, fine, that happens. But they did
Yeah.
try, so I appreciated
Mm-hmm.
that. But the thing with the Ducks is they didn't. Not even did they like not do guests. They didn't even try and coordinate on when they could be available to do it. And yeah, this challenge took a little bit of coordination. You had to have four people, a whole
Out
four, be able to
of
be on this out of 8,
8.
be on the online at the same time, and they just didn't.
Mm-hmm.
So Ducks go to tribal council, and we had so well, immediately even before that, like the second the tribe swaps had happened. So Icy and Will just immediately are like, we're flipping, and
Yeah.
it was a 5 dinos to 3 hot dog at the start of the merge or the tribe swap on the duck tribe, and they just completely were like, we're flipping, we're on the
Yeah.
bottom, we're flipping.
Out
To,
of left field.
yeah, there was no conversation. Like literally, both of them were just like, yeah, we're flipping together.
Because what
Uh,
were they originally? They were both hot dogs?
they were both dinos. They were part of the
Right,
five
they were
dinos,
dinos.
and
Yeah.
so
They're like,
they're like, we're on the bottom of dinos, so we're gonna flip to be on the bottom of hot dogs.
it was something, all right.
Yeah.
I,
So part of why they didn't really try in that challenge also is because everyone tried to throw to an extent. Like um, the dinos that so Savannah, Celeste, and Riley all thought that the dinos were 5 strong, and so they were throwing. And then Will and Icy were flipping to the hot dogs, and the hot dogs were with them, so they were throwing. And it was just like a whole bunch of people throwing the challenge because no one
yeah.
cares, which is very frustrating when you spend a lot of time designing a challenge.
Yeah.
But so they flipped, and then at the last second, Riley figured out or found out that they were flipping, and so he decided to flip too, just so he wasn't as out of the numbers. So it ended up being 6-2 vote, with Savannah going home. I don't really know the reason why Savannah.
I I think it was possibly due because we saw Savannah. She had moments where she would seem like she lashed out at others. I feel like that might have been it because she was a fairly bit unpredictable too.
Yeah, I know. I've played with Savannah twice actually myself.
Mm-hmm.
She can be an emotional player, and so maybe that was it. Maybe they had experiences of that, and that was why. I don't. I mean, I'm not entirely sure. But right after that, we actually had a kind of a funny moment. Yeah, you want to take this one?
Uh, yes, please. So in the DoorDash server, there is the duo channels because some of the gates you could do with a partner. and Icy and Celeste were together in it, and Celeste was left out of the Savannah vote,
The
and
only person left out.
yeah, the only person
Well,
left out.
aside from Savannah, obviously.
Yeah, aside from Savannah, and they're talking about what happened, and Oni Icy says, "I think Savannah self-voted," and Celeste just goes, "Oh, that makes sense. I guess she did." And Celeste just kind of believes Icy that Savannah would self-vote herself there.
Yeah, it was kind of wild. It was other left.
Oh, my camera is flipped.
Yeah. Um, yeah, so Icy, it didn't make any sense. Like, basically, he just didn't realize what he was saying or something.
Yeah,
It's Icy. Icy is like the world's.
Icy is Icy.
He's a giant rat, and I don't say like I'm not being mean to him. It's just the way he plays is as a full-on rat, not a snake. To me, a snake is someone who's like kind of a little bit in power and will backstab you. Icy's
Mm-hmm.
just a rat. He will go and he will like throw you under the bus to whoever has power before you know that it's coming, and that's how he gets ahead of everything. And
Mm-hmm.
he's like I don't know, like Tyre Baelish or something in Game of Thrones. He's just like a rat. like
He really is.
um
The amount of headaches he's caused us though.
oh yeah, on
Ooh,
the production team. But
the production.
it can be
But
kind of
hey,
interesting to watch.
it is.
So but yeah, so that was that one. The next challenge we decided to bring it down a notch from Masterword, and we went with a good old classic shoots and ladders.
Yes.
And this might be my single favorite challenge in all of VidORGs that we've ever done.
No,
Not
this has
necessarily
been
for the challenge
so
itself,
good.
but for what happened.
Yeah.
Oh man,
Oh my gosh.
it was so
I
good.
can't believe what happened. And like the result of it happening too is the funniest thing to me.
Yeah. So how it works is it's basically shoot. There's a shoots and ladders board, and on your turn, instead of just rolling a dice, um, one tribe picked a number, and then the other tribe picked a number between 0 and 3, and then you added them together. So what this ended up being is a little bit of a like cat and mouse type of a game where you're trying to predict what the opponents are going to be choosing, and then picking the optimal thing for you to pick based on that. And then they're like, so you're both going back and forth trying to like think what the other person's going to do. And you could do this as a tribe. You can communicate as a tribe, but ultimately there was one person on each team that was like the leader or in charge. Um, the banana started off. Penguin was in charge, and they hit a ladder pretty early on. It was looking pretty good. They were up by a decent amount. Um, and then what happened?
Well, oh, was it?
Is it-
I can't remember because this was when I had a show the night of this.
Oh, okay. Well, that's fine.
So
Uh,
I was there after the show. I just kind of saw like a bunch of the
the
like
aftermath
when I
and
came,
stuff.
the bananas had switched their leader, which we'll get to.
Yeah. So right after that, so the bananas are out in front. We're like, oh, they're cruising. Penguin is their leader, doing a good job, or whatever. And then they make a mistake, and the ducks hit a ladder that gives them like a 40-point lead. They were like almost. I think it went from like 10 to 77, something like crazy like that. So they like covered almost the entire board. Um, and then Trump is just like he's going in about how Penguin's doing a terrible job in their group chat. And he's being Trump, like acting as Trump, I should say, and everything. And so then Penguin's like, you know what? I don't have to deal with this. I'm done. I'm not the leader. You could do it, Trump. And so Trump steps in and he's like, I got this. I'm Trump. And proceeds to absolutely carry the team.
It's like single-handedly carrying the team.
And when we say single-handedly, it's because what made this challenge great and what was so hysterical about it is he was actively disregarding what his teammates wanted him to do. So like all of his tribe would be like, we should do a two, we should do a two, we should do a two, because they're gonna do this. And he's like, no, I don't think they're gonna do that. And then he goes with something else, and he's right over and over and over. He makes the ducks go down chutes. The bananas hit ladders, and he climbs tribe back into this, ties the game up, being right like 9 times with his tribe mates wanting him to do something else on like 8 of those.
Yeah.
he
I
basically,
think
yeah.
it was from here I think we got one of the best quotes from Princess, who was having an absolute not
Oh,
having time with this.
they
Uh,
were very mad.
they were, and they accused Trump of trying to throw the challenge because Trump had an idol. And the only thing I could think of was in that moment was, why would Trump save you all if he wanted to throw the challenge?
Exactly. He's literally bringing you back from like
Mhm.
nothing. Like, there's no way you could win basically. And then he just like, and had he listened to you guys at any point, you guys lose the challenge. But Trump
Yeah.
was doing Trump thing, and so it's not about the result; it's about the method essentially.
Yeah. Oh,
So
absolutely.
because every time he was right in the chat, he let everyone know that he was right, that they were all like losers, that he's the best, he invented art of the deal, like all this type of stuff. Um, he's being like, imagine exactly what like real Trump like gloats all the time or whatever. That's exactly what you know our Trump did.
Exactly.
But it was just how much he was right, and the whole time, like yeah, Bluey is so mad. Even Penguin was mad at times.
Hmm.
And but Princess was in a rage. Like
Oh,
Princess released
Princess.
like voice confessionals where
I
they're like
think
about
I
to smash the
counted.
keyboard.
I think we got a total of an hour and 20 minutes worth of voice confessional alone from that challenge from Princess.
Yeah, it was
They were furious.
it was wild. And then what happens ultimately? Bananas win. Um, on the back of Trump, he might have gotten like one little thing wrong, and it wasn't even consequential. But he like
Yeah.
literally just predicted the exact what the Ducks were doing every time. Um, and basically, and so a little bit of background, like Trump is as a real person, like he plays these types of games a lot. Like strategy card games is what he does and competes in. And
Oh, he competes in that.
yeah, so like his
Oh.
ability to read people and like do like probabilities and like all of that type of stuff is really good. And so it was like a really good challenge for him. But man, he kind of knocked it out of the park. And it was just the meltdown in the banana chat with like everyone hating Trump, and then when they win, he just like posts his little like Trump on a tank gif that's like victorious thing, and
It's kind
uh,
of become one of
is
his things
demanding
now,
apologies from everybody.
right?
It was pretty funny. One of my favorites is so Penguins. We asked Penguin about it in his confessional, like what he thought, and he compared it to like it was so funny. Penguin's really funny too. He compared it to like when you're watching Mari, and you're like, all right, this 16th, you're rooting for the girl, but then it's like the 16th guy, and you're like, this one's definitely the father. And then Mari's like, this is not the father. And then the guy is like dancing and everything. That was essentially Trump. He just kept not being the father. And it was pretty funny.
I I still can't believe it in some regard looking back on it. It's how did
But
because for like card games and that, you can normally see the person across from you. Like they could not Trump could
yeah,
not
it
see the
just,
ducks
I mean,
and know
it is,
who.
there's a lot of mathematical probability. When I was like
Mhm.
looking at the game and stuff, I started recognizing that if you can put your, uh, like if you end up being three steps away from like a chute or a ladder, it ends up becoming kind of like that's when it becomes a rock paper scissors because you can always counter what the other person's doing. So
Mhm.
it gives you an opportunity to win. You're still going to be just a little bit of a mind game, like randomness at that point. But if you're outside of three away, you can almost always predict what they're going to do. And especially if you think about it like this, like, oh, if I'm going to do rock and you think that I'm going to do rock, I know you're going to do paper, so I do scissors. And that's where it was stopping, where the Ducks stopped. They never like took that the next step and thought, oh well, if he thinks I'm going to do this, then I got to do this. They just did the first one. What will he do? And then we'll counter that, not really taking into consideration like what they'll think they'll do. And I think Trump did that.
Yeah. This is a challenge where being a bit of a wild card could help, like
Totally.
Trump was in a
Yeah.
way.
Yeah, totally. Because he did some like on quote unquote offense. He did some unpredictable things too.
Hmm.
So it was
I remember, what was it? One of the moments that stands out a lot to me was when they were three away from a ladder, and Trump was like, "Okay, we're doing three," and they're like, "What? No!" And he was just like stood by doing three, and
yeah
they were close, and
and
they're like,
yeah and
"Just
they're
skip us
like
over." And it's like I think they ended up hitting the ladder. So
yeah because basically everyone on the tribe was just like, there's no way that they'll do one or a two. Like they're never picking zero, and he's like, nope,
mhm.
they're gonna pick zero because they know that we know they won't pick zero, so therefore they will pick zero, and therefore I pick three anyway. So he dominated. It was really really funny to watch.
It was
But so
entertaining.
the bananas won. Yeah, Trump demands apologies from everyone, and everyone's mad still, even though they won. Uh, Princess is adamant that Trump has an idol because otherwise, why would he have attempted to throw the challenge, which he definitely didn't throw. Anyway, we go to the vote, sending Ducks back again. There wasn't a lot to this vote. Will and Icy were still on the other side. Riley decided to join him still just because he couldn't get them to flip. So it was a 6-1 vote on Celeste.
This-
Um, is pretty boring.
mm.
Um,
If anyone got swapped screwed, I think it was Celeste.
and Riley.
Yeah, and Riley.
Yeah. Um, I will say I want to shout out to Random Master who was playing for the Ducks. He was the only one that showed up, and so he was
Yes.
playing by himself. Had no help, or actually Jarake helped him for like
Yeah, Drake was there
the
for a
first
little
like
bit, I believe.
5-10 minutes or something.
Mhm.
But then he basically
Yeah,
just did it by himself, and
yeah. Out of the Ducks, I think Random was one of the more active ones, and
the
isn't he in
he
Greece?
he is more active. The problem is the hours that he's more active.
Yeah.
He's never active in the evenings, West Coast time or American times, basically.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, because he's in Greece, as you said. Um, but
But
then,
when he shows up,
yeah, no, when he's online and is active. But then, so we go into Challenge 7, which was a reboot from Season 2, which is Skirmish.
one of my favorites.
Yeah, no, this was really fun with SEAL Team Luigi last season.
Yeah.
It wasn't as fun this time.
It wasn't. This wasn't as fun.
There was almost no like energy to it. People weren't like socializing or strategizing really, and it's just because the Ducks just like laid over and died. They like didn't even really try basically, and so the
Yeah.
Bananas steamrolled them again.
Yeah.
And once again, the vote wasn't that interesting at this point. Icy. So there was at this point there was 3 hot dogs and 3 dinos left, and Icy was never going to go to Rocks ever, and the hot dogs weren't going to split. So Icy voted with the hot dogs, and Will this time actually ended up voting with Riley because he didn't want there to be a hot dog majority.
Mm-hmm.
But because Icy was never willing to go to Rocks, the vote was a 4-2 for Riley,
Mm-hmm.
which bummed me out. I actually really liked Riley.
Yeah. No, Riley got such a.
Yeah, he grew on me. At first, I was really annoyed because he was like one of the ones that's interested in throwing challenges, but
Mm-hmm.
you know,
I still think one of the highlights of the season is Riley being like, "I'm gonna throw challenges," and Bluey being like, "Golly gee, I want to win this," and Riley is like, "Okay, I guess I'm not gonna throw this."
yeah,
That was
it's
really
funny.
sweet.
GT mentioned the same one, the same thing, and how like heartwarming that was to see and everything.
Yeah.
And Riley works with youth for a
Mm-hmm.
living, so I don't know. It was I liked Riley, so it's sad to see him get voted out there. I really wanted him to
Yeah.
continue.
I thought
Um,
he. I was thinking if he made it to merge, like I wanted to see how he would navigate merge.
yeah, me too. But so we go into our 4th challenge. This is the last challenge of the session right before merge. I was actually really proud of this challenge. It's called Heist. It's one that I thought was really cool. It's kind of a mixture of the game Keep Talking and Nobody Explodes mixed with like real Survivor when there's like everyone's blindfolded and there's one person with the that's calling everything out for them. Essentially, there was one leader and a bunch of like runners, and they had to go into this like bot driven maze and collect emoji like codes that then they fed to the leader who decrypted the codes and told them where to go. Problem was
Mm-hmm.
the maze, the players in the maze couldn't see the walls and couldn't see where they were at. So then the leader had to be like telling them where to go while doing this for 4 people at once. And the bananas gave it a good shot. They did pretty well. They had some
Yeah.
issues that were kind of funny, but
Oh yeah, the
um,
accidental
yeah,
triggering of a different puzzle
yeah.
entirely.
One of the princess like messed up and did the wrong code, the wrong answer for something, and that answer actually ended up being a command for a different challenge that we had. So princess is like off doing something else, like, and then it was like I'm confused, and then I go and find them and in the maze, and it was like, oh yeah, no, you're just ignore all that. You're wrong in this one part. um, and so but bananas, I was proud of them for doing the challenge and everything.
Mhm.
But and Bluey was the leader. He did a pretty good job.
Mhm.
Fairly good. He
Yeah,
couldn't really
they
manage
they
multiple at
did
a
a very
time,
good
but
job of it.
overall they did pretty well.
I think their total time is 52 minutes,
Something like that, 52, I think.
or something around that.
Um,
Like still under an hour,
yeah, no,
which is
I
good.
expected it to be probably right around an hour, so they did a little bit better than I was expecting. Um, but then the Ducks managed no attempt at all and managed no coordination or organization in trying to make an attempt. Really, the only like coordination or organization that came about was because myself, you, or GT did it. Um, and it's just once again the Ducks just not giving a shit, and it was really frustrating this portion of the game just to see that. Um, and so they all got a strike for not participating in doing the challenge,
Hmm.
and then the vote ended up not being that interesting. Even though it was interesting, the vote itself was always going to be Will, basically, and because he was like the last man out. Um, and
He was fighting at least. I'll give him
Will
that.
Will fought. He really wanted to do the challenge,
Hmm.
and he really fought to stay. And it actually
Hmm.
ended up being so Oni didn't vote because Oni doesn't do a lot,
Yeah.
and so Oni self voted, and then at the same time Jarake threw a vote on Icy just in case there was an idle played. And then so it ended up being 2-2-1, two votes on Will, two votes on Icy. So then it was basically all of the hot dogs then in a revote determining who went home, and they were all going to side with Icy. So they all voted Will, but it drug out a long time.
Yes.
And there was like Will was trying. He offered like real money, real life money for people to save him as a bluff. He wasn't
Yeah.
actually going to do it, but he was
I,
offering it, which triggered Icy so
oh,
badly, and they
Icy
got into
just
like fights.
he did.
It was something.
So I remember Icy asking if it was like, "Is this against the rules?" And we're like, "Technically, no,
Yeah, it's like we
but
don't
maybe
encourage it,
don't."
but yeah, it's probably not worth it to give money for it, but it's not against
Yeah.
the rule.
The thing
Um,
that disappointed me a bit about kind of the last two tribals, is they took out players who wanted to
yeah,
be and would try.
that was what frustrated me the most is just seeing players, even Celeste, yeah,
Yeah.
Celeste, Riley, and Will all definitely wanting to be there. The problem is that they all always wanted to be there when it was their ass on the line a little bit.
Yeah.
And they
Oh,
didn't put the
definitely.
effort in the challenges to try and win immunity. Um, and it's probably going to be the same with the players that are left from Ducks, like not really caring as much until it's win or go home for them, which
Yeah.
is annoying. Like it's not that you have to like give your heart or your all for every single challenge, but at least attempt them. At least like
Exactly.
you know,
Especially when you put such a lot of work, like you put so much work into Masterward and the heist challenge.
yeah,
He's working the shoots and
hmm
ladders. And then just skirmishes, it's checking in every half hour.
yeah. But but that's the other thing is that we were the ones that were there. Like we were all like had to be there to run the challenges and stuff. So, but you know,
Exactly. I still say if
Um,
you skirmish on a date, you can do skirmish.
yeah. I think you only missed one in the entire date that you were on.
Which it was just quick throwback, quick sidebar to that. It was literally me going on saying, "Who do I defend?" Okay, done. And left. Like I was
Yeah,
on 30 seconds.
that's all you had to do, as long as you had some other like people that were willing to like do some of the strategy or whatever for you.
Mm-hmm.
But that was it. The last part of and then right after this was when we went to merge.
Yes.
The only other thing of note is that show two in the DoorDash server finished up, and Donald Trump wins an idol. So he's going to be safe a little bit. Target won't be coming right at him as we go to our merge. But that's the second phase of our game, and we're going to start bringing you
Yeah.
one video per vote out now. Hopefully, with my guest will be one of uh, the castaways that gets voted out. Some players are indicated that they probably wouldn't be willing to, but if they are, we'll have them on, and you get to hear from them exactly what was going on
Yeah.
in their game.
That's always exciting.
Yeah, no, I really enjoyed it last season, just getting to meet all you guys and you know chat and
Yeah. It's interesting also getting to see like because I as a player, what after the season, like going been seeing how people's impressions of the games were.
mm-hmm.
Because when you're in the game, you don't get that. Because when someone's
You
eliminated,
only have like your perspective.
until final tribal.
Yeah. Well, that's true. You don't get to communicate with them at all.
Yeah.
I see their jury conversations and like all of that type of stuff, but as a player, you don't get anything. They're just almost cease to exist in some ways.
Yeah.
But with that, we'll be back soon. We actually just yesterday had the start of the merge, or yesterday, the day before. I don't know.
Yesterday.
It was the day before.
Yesterday, technically. I think.
Yesterday. Anyway, uh, some spicy stuff going on already, and
yeah.
but you'll find out about that as soon as the vote happens and we start making the next episodes. But until then, yeah, I think that's us signing out here from VidORGs. Peanut, thank you for joining me.
No, thank you for having me.
Yeah. All right, we will see everyone soon.
Bye.